Welcome on in, fellas. Welcome on in. What is up, Austin?
Good evening, Josiah. How are you? Ladies
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's
and gentlemen, I'm doing a whole lot better this week than I was last week. Thank you for your patient patronage. I was going through something, um, and I'm doing a lot better now. So uh, hopefully the jokes will be a lot better this time.
No promises. We never promise them stuff like that.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
support you,
All
Austin.
right.
We support you. We're here
Thank
with
you.
you. Mm-hmm.
As Josiah said, he is Josiah, and as I've said, I am Austin, and we
Mm-hmm.
are the
Super duper
super
cinema, super duper cinema,
super
super duper
Sup,
cinema.
subidoop, doop, 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 super cinema, cinema, cinema,
Brothers.
cinema, cinema, bros, 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 bros,
Bros,
bros,
bros,
bros,
bros.
bros,
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 bros.
boom,
Bros,
boom,
bros,
boom,
bros,
boom,
bros.
boom,
Bros,
boom,
bros,
boom,
bros,
boom.
bros.
All right. What's good, everybody? How we living? How we living? All right.
We living.
So, all right. So, hang on. Hang. Check this out. Check this out. I'm watching this live. Hey, what's
What's up,
good? What's
guys? How you doing
good?
there? Yeah. What's up, Austin? How you doing, Austin?
Oh man, it's about to be Spaceball review of 100 meters.
Oh
Hang on, hang on, hang on.
no, no.
Oh my god.
Secret reveal
Oh
right
no.
here.
Oh wait, you didn't. Oh, my bad.
Was
Oh,
it
are you?
why did it break? Oh
I don't know.
gosh.
Hang on. Hang on. We got to get the graphic up. Hang on, just a second.
This is
Stick
the
with us.
weirdest this is the weirdest thing ever. Both of these images broke
Oh
out of nowhere.
no. All right. Well, I
Okay.
think I think one person's with us.
Okay.
So thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for rocking with
Welcome
us.
in. We are reviewing Dead Space. No.
Dead Space.
We did have the images. Just give me a half second. I'll pull them back. I don't even know why it's.
I mean, clearly we had the images because we had the thumbnail. So this is a technical difficulty, not a competence difficulty. We just want y'all to know that.
Boom. There we go. There might
All
be a
right.
little bit of a competence difficulty up in there though too.
Just go with it. Just go with it. Just go with it.
All right, let me fix this other one while I'm at it. Okay, there we
All
go.
right. All right. All right. So we're looking good.
Yay! We're covering
All right. All
Yaku
right.
Emu. You guys were worried we weren't covering a movie at all. Oh my gosh. Okay, no
Yes.
worries.
Okay. So yes, this evening we're doing a double feature. Double feature. Double feature. The first movie on the docket this evening will be 100 meters. Hyaku Emu. Quick note. The Japanese title Hyaku Emu was completely confusing me because I know a little bit of Japanese, and Hyaku is 100. I know that,
Yeah,
and this is
yeah.
Emu. Like, what is Emu?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too.
Because I
Mm-hmm.
was thinking like metoro, like the actual word for meter. But
Mm-hmm.
in track and field parlance in Japanese track and field parlance, they say M like the letter M, Haku M. It just says emu, but like
Yes, it's
M,
the
the letter M.
katakana, or yeah, not I guess not
The
katakana. I guess
con
kind of katakana.
the the conatization of the letter M. They just spelled it out like you're spelling like you're phonetically spelling out the letter M. So
Mm-hmm.
hyaku emu. And in Japanese track and field parlance, that's just how they say 100 meters. Yon hyaku emu or whatever. So that's just how they say it. So yeah, because I was like, I had to look up on the Wikipedia, like, why are they calling it emu? Like, what is that? I couldn't figure out what they were doing, but now I totally understand it now.
Yeah,
So
it
just a little
was
side note.
too easy. It was right under your nose right there for a second.
Yeah. All right. So How about you know what? I will read
Go ahead, man.
the synopsis of this one,
You're gonna
and,
have a
and
better experience reading that. Hopefully this time than I did last week's.
all right. So 100 meters follows Togashi, a naturally gifted track star who dominates every 100-meter race without effort throughout his childhood. In sixth grade, he encounters Komiya, a timid transfer student with fierce determination but no technical skill. When Togashi begins teaching Komiya proper running technique, he unwittingly ignites something profound in his new friend, a burning drive to win no matter what. Their childhood bond becomes the foundation for something more complex, and years later, the two find themselves reunited as professional sprinters, no longer friends on the same side, but fierce rivals competing at the highest levels of the sport, where their contrasting approaches to running will be tested under intense public scrutiny and pressure. The film explores the existential weight of dedicating one's entire life to perfecting a race that lasts less than 10 seconds. Through the decade long rivalry between natural talent and relentless determination, the story examines not just who will win, but why these athletes run at all. What drives someone to sacrifice everything for a single moment of competition. Using rotoscoping techniques to capture the raw physicality and emotional intensity of sprinting, the narrative delves into the psychological toll of elite athletics and questions whether success is measured by victories or by the deeper connections and self understanding forged through the pursuit of excellence. At its core, the film asks why, excuse me, at its core, the film asks what truly matters when two people push each other to their absolute limits. That's a pretty good summary, I gotta say. That's a pretty good synopsis. It doesn't give anything away that's not already in the trailer, and we're good.
There we go. Yeah.
I mean, it's anything that's not given away basically in the poster, more or less.
It's pretty fair. Yeah.
By the
You could
way,
jump to a lot of that from the poster.
quick production note. I'm the one that has the privilege and the honor of making the thumbnails. Um, the artwork of us, our avatars were illustrated by his truly. Um, but I'm the one that composes the thumbnail. I find the posters and all that stuff. And just something that makes me really happy, as you see in this thumbnail, whenever there's just like just one color in the background, and I can just use that color to blend it in. Oh, same thing with Rental Family when it was just that yellow. That makes
Yellow,
me so
yeah.
happy, you guys.
Uh-huh.
Now I do it in such a way where I work in Canva and it gives me the primary colors of the color palette of the poster when there's multiple colors. In this case, man, when I can just when our avatar, excuse me, when our thumbnail with our avatars is just a continuation of the movie poster itself, I always get a kick out of that. That always makes me happy.
Mhm.
It
Aesthetically
always
very
makes me
pleasing.
happy. Yes. And so even if we spend 5 minutes talking about the movie, the fact that I got to spend just a little bit of time doing that and just seeing the end result, I get a kick out of that.
Mhm.
Just a little BTS behind the scenes. Not
Yep, yeah,
oh
yeah.
god. Oh. I should have just said that. I don't want anybody thinking that this has anything to do um with the K-pop assembly line cranked out slop,
I'm
but
a
whatever.
soda pop. You're a soda pop.
Whatever, man. Whatever. All right, so yeah, just a little production note on my end, something that made me
Mhm,
happy.
mhm,
When I saw it, I
mhm.
was like, "Oh yeah, 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 I like that. Oh, I love it. We can do it this time." All
Oh,
right.
yeah, yeah.
So with that said, um, Josiah,
All right.
30,000 feet above, bird's eye view. What was your thoughts
Okay.
on this movie?
All right.
Oh, wait. Before you go into that, We wanted to review this movie back in November,
Hmm.
but the show times in my city were non-existent. It did not air or show in my city. And in Josiah's city, it aired like maybe 1, maybe 2 days at a theater that wasn't super I mean, he could have gotten there. It's not the biggest deal, but it just wasn't as accessible. And so when I found out that the film was released on Netflix on the 31st, I was I was extraordinarily happy. And now we get to talk about it a few months later, but nonetheless, I'm very happy to discuss 100 meters. So as soon as my co-host returns to his seat, then we will get this show on the road. And he is back.
Abandoning my post. Oh no.
All
Okay.
right. So 30,000 feet
Let's
above
do it.
ground,
Let's do it.
bird's eye. What was your thought on the movie?
All right. Speed run time here. Hakuemu 100 meters. Latest animated feature that we watched. I think it released later last year. This movie is very much worth a watch. I will say personally, there are some very high highs, some very low lows. I'm not saying that plot wise that is what happens. High highs in categories of almost experimental animation that they're trying to achieve. They, I think, take advantage of the animation medium. Some low lows. It did get a little bit boring for me here or there, but I believe that is going to be a subjective experience just because there's some psychological, almost melancholic elements to this film that may or may not hit for you depending on where you're at. If you're having a slow day, probably not going to be the best movie for you to watch. It is a sports movie. It does follow a little bit of the formula. That said, it's not Rocky specifically, where it truly builds the entire film and kind of almost inspires you to go out and tackle the world. There are elements of that in this film, but it's a very different kind of sports film. It's one that takes chances, and I think those chances are rewarded most of the time, and those chances don't work out. But I can very much appreciate that it does take chances overall. So I think it's worth a watch. But like I said, check your frame of heart and mind, whether you're willing to get into a film that is not going to be action packed or it's not going to be it's not going to make you roll on the floor laughing at any given moment. So yeah, cool anime film. Um, Check out our further review to get more details from this. But yeah, worth a watch on a Saturday night on Netflix for sure.
All right. All right. Let me try to give my best attempt at a speed run.
All right.
It was a good movie. Yeah. Overall, there are a few like points where it's kind of slow, but there's a reason for the slowness. There's some existential dread kind of plot, mechanics going on at a certain point in the movie, and we'll get into that. But it doesn't. It kind. How would I say this? I guess it does kind of delve into some melodrama, but the melodrama is not necessarily, for the most part, between the two. I would say two protagonists. There's no antagonist in this movie. They're competitors. They're opponents. They're racing. Um, they're not racing for good and evil. Like they're just. I would say they're both the two principal characters, and they have very very divergent storylines, and I think that's really interesting. I also think that they did flesh out the characters. Um, in the poster, the character in red, they fleshed out his story significantly more so than the other character in terms of his relationships, uh, the happenings of high school, and then there's a big jump after college, and there's a lot of things going on. But I think the fact that they didn't necessarily talk about the other character kept his story and his part of the story of the movie, I should say, fresh. So then when you do see him, like, okay, what's going on with this guy? We haven't been filled in on all of his details. Part of that is because he's and we'll get into this. His character doesn't necessarily facilitate or necessitate that level of like storytelling, whereas the character in Red and Togashi, there's a lot more to flesh out because he has very specific types of human relationships. Uh, as far as like the animation, overall, the animation is quite good. Uh, it's film quality good, and they do some really kind of cool rotoscoping of the actual track races, the 100-meter races, and they take some artistic license with it. It kind of reminds me what what was it? The
The
was it Kill
Animatrix.
Bill, Animatrix, where it kind of goes and it's kind of like whoa, psychedelic, kind of like head trip, almost fever dream. The film, I would say, it definitely does not commit the cardinal sin of being boring, but there are some definite slow moments. And if you're like enjoying the more upbeat, fast-paced parts of the film, there's definitely a couple places where it's like really a lull and it's really kind of like a buzzkill, but in a way that the story intends for it to be. So there's that. But overall, this is definitely a movie worth watching. Again, we tried to watch in the theaters, but very, very happy to see it on Netflix. Absolutely go check it out. I saw it like on a Saturday morning, or it was New Year's Eve when it dropped. So that morning I happened to be off, and so it was a nice like brunch time movie to kind of watch, and I was like, oh yeah, I like this, and yeah, we'll get into more of it in the spoiler section, but yeah, that's
Exactly.
kind of my speed run of it, uh, just off the top of the dome. All right,
Perfect.
so
Thanks, man.
is there anything you want to? Yeah, is
Well,
there anything
first,
that you would
I
like to
want to
say?
say welcome in, Merrick. Welcome back. Great seeing you, man. Hope,
What's up, Merrick?
hope things
What's
have been
good?
well. Yeah, we are talking about two different movies today. This one, 100 Meters, is an anime film on Netflix. The next one we'll talk about is Marty Supreme. That one is unfortunately rated R, but we
Yeah,
can we can give some details of it. But you're gonna have to wait for your parents to check it out if you have interest.
yeah, yeah. We're gonna talk about some things that are just not for kids, and so um,
Hmm.
we encourage you when you become of age, whenever that is, don't tell us, but come back in 10, 12 years. Check us
uh,
out. If YouTube
check.
is still a thing in 10 to 12 years, hey,
Hmm.
come check it out.
Hmm.
Come check
Hmm.
out the Wayback Machine archives. But in any
Yeah,
event, we're very happy to have you for this movie
for
review.
this one for sure.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, okay, man. Sorry for the delay also. So we do this thing where we try and do like two like mini reviews that we can put up on other platforms. So we do try and get to your messages as soon as possible. But when you said hello, Austin was doing his speed run, so we had to pause for a little bit.
all right.
All right.
So if there's no other further spoiler-free commentary, then we will jump into spoilers. Are we
Get
good to
right
go?
into that. Yeah, let's get right into those
All right.
spoilers. Hmm.
So this will be the end of our spoiler-free portion of the movie review. If you have not seen 100 meters yet, we encourage you to go check it out. It is on Netflix. Please check it out and come back and join us. We would love to have you.
Hmm. Come
You
back, come
can
back.
leave a comment after the video, or if you've already seen it, we're happy to have you. So at this point, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler
Hey, what is up? Keep
alert.
it real. Keep it real. Welcome
Oh, bro,
back,
what's up?
man.
Hang on.
Welcome back.
Hang on. Hang on. I gotta shout all my peoples out. Hang on just a
Yeah,
second.
man. Yeah.
What's up, Merrick? What's up?
Welcome.
Keep it real.
Welcome
So happy
back.
to see you
Oh, we're
guys.
back.
Thanks for coming through. Thanks for coming
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So you're just in time because now we are straight into spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Here we go. From this point on,
Hmm.
spoiler alert. Here we go.
Yeah. So
All right, Josiah.
I do have I did have a split experience of sorts watching this film. Uh, I very much did do like enjoy the animation. I think the characters overall are pretty good. Man, two things though like kept on getting me, and that's why I kind of gave the disclaimer that if you're not in like the right mood, the right headspace for a movie that has like some very melancholic moments, I had to for sure because, I mean, one, maybe I should have added in if you're already like feeling down. I don't know. The movie may make you feel worse, or it might be the perfect thing. You might be like, oh, I'm feeling the melancholy. The movie is letting me sit in the melancholy. Um, but two, I was a little distracted while I was watching it, and so I kind of like that was not it was not a good call for me to be drawing simultaneously, because not only does the film like skip across time, but even scenes kind of wind up jumping time even within the like three or so time frames that they cover. And at one point in the movie I was like, very bored I'm very bored. But then the racing scenes would happen, and it was re-engaging, and it was cool seeing them try things that were like experimental. Um so I didn't want to like rebuff this film to everybody, because I think it is worth watching, solely for the like rotoscoping animation, and likable enough characters. But I wasn't proclaiming to the rooftops that like everyone should go out and see this movie like right this second, right this moment. Now, let me get a little bit deeper into that. The rotoscoping. I both like it, and it served as a distraction for me at the same time. Um, I really liked it when it came to the races, and even some of the like prep, like before and after, and honestly, even some dialogue moments where you can tell that they were like they fully acted it out, which I'm like halfway on the fence in. Like I like seeing the human movements and human like ticks and like mannerisms coming through, but I also felt like I could see the animation as like a mask on top of real people, and that kind of was a distraction for me. It was less of a problem during the races and some of the moments where I felt like just drawing right on top of a person could be a boon, but it was definitely a problem for moments where I'm like I just kept on questioning like why is this why are we drawing on top of this if we're pretty much just acting out completely anyways. Which those moments that you were talking about, there's one moment in particular, I think halfway through the film there's like a really long shot, where it shows like all the people come up to the racing. Oh, do they call them stocks? Not stocks. I don't even know what they
Starting with the
call
starter blocks.
them. The starting blocks. Starting blocks.
Yeah, starting blocks.
Uh, and fascinatingly enough, it like pans across the crowd, and like I'm pretty sure one of the races happens behind the camera, which is fascinating because once the camera rotates around, it shows everyone like finishing a race and coming back, and then it continues its rotation and catches up with like our main characters in their next big race. And there were some cool things done with like the track, and the people were relatively solid, but like the background was was distractingly like flickering, and I felt like they were trying to convey like the sense of like internal energy and sort of action that was like happening in the inside the racers' minds. So yeah, really cool sequence. And whenever I came to those moments, I'm like, yeah, that stuff would have been really difficult to do had they not rotoscoped it. So it was a boon for them rotoscope. But yeah, I could say more, but I'll pass it back to you to see if there's anything either I said or you wanted to say that we can continue to discuss.
Okay, so with regard to the rotoscoping, like there's part of me that loves it, and there's a part of me is like It is total Frodo Baggins from the 70s. For those of you who have never seen the, animated, Hobbit movie, it's actually pretty dope. Check it out.
Uh-huh,
It's from the
uh-huh.
70s, and it's like
Yeah.
it's completely rotoscoped. And, um, okay, the thing with rotoscoping is it in a weird way, because it was still 2D, it's almost like rotoscoping found a way to have or to make 2D animation inherit all the burdens of 3D animation without it being 3D animated.
Mm.
It's like when they're doing the pans of all the different racers, you know what I'm saying? And
Mhm,
it's like
mhm,
this weird kind of wobbly slow motion. I don't wobbly maybe not may not be the right or the charitable word, but it's like this weird slow motion. And it's
mhm,
the same
mhm,
kind of gelatinization of like generic 3D animation where like the characters are standing still, but it just kind of feels like they're drifting.
mhm,
They're still,
mhm,
but they're just never really still, you know? And the movement's so perfect that it doesn't like the 24 frame per second blur that makes movies feel like movies is just totally gone because it's so clinically perfect. The movement, like even right now, like this is like it would be too perfect, too unblurred, right?
mhm,
And so, in a weird way, it's like those moments where they were rotoscope felt like they were happening in slow motion to some degree.
mhm, mhm.
It's kind of the same issue I even have with the Spider-Verse movies. There's, like, this
Sure,
sense where it's
okay.
like, I feel like it should be in 3D, but because I'm not watching it in 3D glasses, it just kind of feels like it's in slow motion
Mm,
sometimes,
fascinating, yeah.
and it's, like, my only knock against the animation, which is otherwise just world-class phenomenal on the
Mhm,
Spider-Verse movies.
mhm,
I love those movies, make no mistake, but I understand that I accept it as I'm watching it because I believe it just to be a stylistic choice. I don't
mhm,
think it's a lack or a limit of the technology, it's a stylistic choice that they
mhm.
made for the
Yeah.
movie to have this kind of feel and this kind of movement, this kind of inertia with their movement.
Mhm,
So I accept it in Spider-Verse movies, although it is something that I catch. It's like they all kind of feel like they're walking through Play-Doh, you know what I mean? And so, um, if anybody's ever seen the live action Super Mario Brothers, I half recommend it, half don't. It's a terrible movie, but it's terrible in all the best 90s kinds of ways. I remember the
yeah.
7-Eleven product promotional tie-in. I had all the cups. It was a whole thing. But suffice it to say, they have these they're called Wampa boots, which allow them to do like all this jumping. It's terribly executed in the movie, but they look kind of cool. And it just feels like in generic or in certain types of CG, the way it's rendered, it just feels like they're just kind of walking, you know. It's weird. It's like, how come you can't just make it move smoothly like Mario 64, you know?
Mm, mhm,
Now there's reasons for that. In 2D animation, you have an X and a Y axis, and then in 3D, you have that Z axis that just makes it really weird. And for a long time, the only people that really figured it out was like Disney Animation, Pixar, and like DreamWorks Animation, right?
mhm. Yeah.
And so I say all of that to say, like, all of the burdens that that technology and that X, Y, and the Z axis and the uncanny valley effect that you would get in 3D animation, I feel like the rotoscoping has caused the 2D in this movie to inherit all of those issues, all of those burdens visually,
Mhm,
which makes for an interesting viewing. When the race is in full stride and they're just going, it actually looks pretty incredible. And
mhm,
to the degree that there's like this slow motion, but they're moving hyper fast, it kind of creates its own kind of unique effect that I
mhm,
found actually really appealing, you know,
mhm.
in those races. And the whole movie isn't rotoscope like that. There's just specific
Man,
parts.
it's pretty close. It's pretty close to the whole
There's
movie
there's
being
a, there's a fair amount
rotoscoped.
of rotoscoping. There's a
I
fair amount.
It's not 100%, but it's very close to it. I was actually looking at a I think it was an Instagram post that they made, and there was a scene closer to the end of the movie where they're like following. I think it was it this guy? No, 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 the guy in the blue. Wait a second.
There's
N-
Togashi and then there's
no,
Komiya.
no, no. The guy. So they were following. I think it was like Kai.
Kaiju?
Just something like that.
Isn't there a guy that was called like Kaido or
So
Kaido or
there is a
Kaiju?
Kaido. They weren't following Kaido. They were following. There was so like 2/3 of the movie. There's a kid that's like graduating, and he he gives this like very like very melancholic speech. He's like, basically, there's no meaning in life. I found that there's nothing,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
except this or that. Anyway, so that kid winds up kind of growing up, and he's more or less like the main competitor to one of these guys. I won't specifically. Well, I won't spoilers. This, man, I should have pulled up their names. Basically, L. I mean, they draw this guy, this guy, or Mob from Mob Psycho. They draw this guy like he looks exactly like Mob from Mob Psycho, with the
Right.
like bags under his eyes and stuff like that.
Oh,
Anyways,
real quick, real quick, just for reference. This movie was based on a comic book series that was 5 volumes long. It was a short run. It was only 5 volumes, and to me, that kind of makes sense. I kind of feel like they kind of sped run through all
mm-hmm.
5 of those volumes and just
Yeah.
encapsulated it into one movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of very similar to Akira. Akira was based
Mm-hmm.
on the first 3 volumes of the 6 volume series from Katsuhiro Otomo, and uh, I mean, which makes me wish to God in heaven that he would make the sequel
Oh,
to
I know.
Akira, in just the
Yeah.
second half of that movie. But the way
Mm-hmm.
that they ended Akira, they kind of can't. And so
Yeah.
there are differences from from the animation, the film, and the comic book. Or better yet, I pray to God that someday they just animate the whole manga series all the way through.
It'll happen one
Oh,
day. Yeah,
yeah,
someone will
that's
take a
gonna happen one
chance.
day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Same with
Anyway.
Nausicaa. Nausicaa also famously
Oh,
is
Natsuko
like,
of the Wind, Hayao
yeah,
Miyazaki. Yeah.
yeah. He like did the movie in the middle of doing the manga, and then after finishing the movie, went and finished the manga afterwards. So it
Yeah, I
winds
kinda
up
feel like Kira was kind
departing.
of similar, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, all I was
Um,
saying was there's a scene in which like this guy's rival is like walking down a hallway and he's got a bunch of reporters and it's a top down shot
yeah, yeah,
tracking
yeah.
with him as he like makes a turn right before he declares his retirement. And
Yes.
in on the Instagram they show like the live action, the filming version that they did it, and
Uh,
then a couple other versions so it's like filming something else in the middle and then the animated version, and it's like one to one to one basically. Um, to the degree that
okay.
it made me kind of like wonder, like I guess the only thing that really is gained are the experimental animation things that they can do. Is the like consistency of the characters. I guess they don't have to have the same actor, and you don't have to do makeup and all that stuff. And then like you know, you just want to make an animated picture as well. But half of the time, I was like, why is this? Why is almost 100% of this rotoscope? I don't know that it was that necessary, but it was their choice. They're allowed to do it. I've never seen a movie that's nearly 100% rotoscope like this.
Yeah. Part of me wonders, is rotoscope cheating? But, like, you're not really doing any less work. You still got just as many frames. You just have, like, perfect reference to do it. Is the perfect reference part of it cheating? Is it actually cheating? Do I really care? No, at the end of the day, I just want a good movie that looks visually, aesthetically pleasing. And overall, I feel like this film largely accomplishes that. So I'm totally fine with that. Um,
Yeah, it's not. Okay, so like as someone who draws myself, I'm not an animator. I don't go to the degree of that. I still have yet to get better at specifically animation. I do some other parts of the pipeline, but so I'm pretty sure they just took the video and then were drawing on top of it. So it wasn't as much referencing it, like watching the videos in like a part of your monitor and then interpreting it yourself and drawing kind of from scratch in a way. I'm pretty sure rotoscoping is when it's done in the rotoscoping sort of technique is they're taking the actual like images frame by
right.
frame and drawing on top of it. So
Hmm.
you wind up having things be very consistent, possibly. And it's like there, you as an artist, whether you're good or bad, will still influence whether the final drawings are good or bad. Because you still have to have a good understanding of the character model, the characters that's designed, to then draw on top of it, and like do it. But you have a lot of landmarks to go off of, so it is easier. Yeah, I'd say there are some scenes in this movie where some of the characters look worse, but the main characters felt pretty consistent most of the time. There are only a few shots where like, you can kind of feel like maybe it was done by maybe not their star animator or whatever. Um, but most of the time, the main characters are fine. It's just the side characters that every now and then can look a little weird. Um, yeah. So I mean, look, this just comes down to the directors and the team's decision. As I've said in the past, when it comes to like adapting last week, I was talking about. You feel like you should have a good reason why you want to adapt. That also applies to like, okay, what is my reason for doing this animated, going through all of the time and hassle to draw on top of rotoscoping. I mean, when you look at the backgrounds, it's kind of crazy. Like they're almost one to one. They're like a tiny bit simplified, but almost the lighting and stuff is like virtually the same. So it is a little it is a little strange. It feels
Yeah.
almost like a waste of time. But that said, like you're saying, this was a manga, and I'm guessing the desire to like really capture running in a way that's respecting running and I mean racing in particular is probably what inspired them to do rotoscoping. Because honestly, yeah, unless you're real good at the craft, drawing people running, making all their runs like unique and interesting and look dynamic is very
Extraordinarily
difficult.
difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. It's often like the subtlest things that can become really difficult. I'm not saying running itself is subtle, but like what makes different people's runs different can be subtle. And there are a lot of moments in here where they're just like characters are I don't know, the main character is like in his school uniform and he's like talking to a girl on the other side of a fence and like the way he walks and like the way his like clothes move and some of his leans and sort of
Yeah.
expressions look
His
very
gait,
human.
his posture. Yeah.
His gait, his posture, like all that stuff winds up being really subtle and it comes through in the rotoscope and you're like, yeah, I can tell these are Japanese people because they have like Japanese mannerisms when it comes to that stuff. Um, if you were to just try to do that out of your mind, yeah, incredibly hard. Um, so yeah, all that said is uh, a little. It was like half exciting, half distracting for them to rotoscope as much as they did for
Hmm.
me.
Yeah.
So
I'll say this much. This may, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last animated film that goes about animation via rotoscoping this approach. Uh, so I am an AI enthusiast. I I do work in AI and just looking at the tools and the motion capture and all this generative AI stuff, like yeah, this film will be the last of its kind. Um, and we'll be able to look back at it. It's like, oh wow. Like it'll look dated in 5 to 10 years, this will look dated in a very specific kind of way. Not even in a bad way. But it'll definitely like, oh yeah, this is before the animation industry started doing things this way. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Because when you look at like motion capture and stuff that the tools that are coming online where like you can just move and then it'll just replace you with like an anime character if you want. If that's the rig you have set up and you can literally there's Wonder Dynamics, they were acquired by Autodesk. You can just drag and drop characters and it'll just do the thing that you were doing, but now they just have like the model. Um yeah, this movie, the attention to detail and just the work that went into rotoscoping, it's it will I still think the movie will stand the test of the time because it has its own unique style. But yeah, this is the last movie of an era. I don't think they're ever gonna go through the trouble of doing this way unless it's some kind of hobby or fan passion project or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Some of that
yeah.
stuff does have the potential of looking rotoscoped also. Especially some of the tools
Yes.
that are like taking video that you submitted of live, of yourself acting, and then like drawing characters on top of it. That might wind up looking rotoscoped a little bit unless the AI kind of changes it specifically.
Yeah, like Gen 1, like version 1.0, maybe
Hmm.
as a
Hmm.
transition. By version 3 or 4, this is going to be a mute conversation. We're
Yeah.
entering very interesting times.
Mhm.
Um,
All
so
right, Genobi's hit us up. Hey,
yes.
welcome in, Genobi. Welcome in. Always great seeing you. You're saying there was one scene, a running point of view from one of the characters that was kind of crazy. I don't know if that was rotoscoped, but it was interesting to see a shot like that. Yes, I'm pretty positive it was rotoscoped. That said, the funny thing about that one, that particular rotoscoping is it had to have been the cameraman like running with the camera while kind of like adding in some kind of like jerking and movement. They may have like enhanced it a little bit, like after the fact as well, but definitely, yeah, definitely rotoscoping. And that's almost like it's both the same and the opposite. So it's most of the movie you're rotoscoping the background and the characters, but the characters are like the main thing being rotoscoped. They get away with painting a bunch of backgrounds. But then you have the one shot scene where it rotates around. They were rotoscoping the background. That's like the opposite. There's no characters. They're rotoscoping the background as the camera moves, through the environment. That was cool. That was, yeah. Mob right here. As a kid, he was running around. No, yeah, no. That was the main character. He saw Mob walking down the street or whatever, right? And then Takuma or whatever from his house ran out to try and catch him. That was a cool shot.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of them. And again, like what I like to see was I liked seeing the way they animated Komiya, the guy in the blue, the mob guy.
Mm-hmm.
His style, like it's almost like he's hunched over. Like he has a very specific gait when he runs that's
Yeah.
different than Togashi, and I liked seeing that because like if you weren't rotoscoping that, you would have to so dramatize that and make it look so like over the top and embellished just to show that there's a difference between them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like the difference between watching Rurouni Kenshin, the live action, and then watching the anime. Live action, they're just sword fighting, you know what I mean? Sword fighting just kind of looks like sword fighting, regardless
Mm-hmm.
of what style you're using, right? Hiten Mitsurugi or Gotatsu uh, from Hajime Saito, right? He's just
Mm-hmm.
the lunge or whatever. But in the movie, at the end of the day, sword fighting is just sword fighting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And
I'm
and,
sure
and,
there's
and
someone
so,
technical out there that's like, oh, this is this region's style of Japanese sword fighting. It's
oh,
possible there
for
is some
sure.
technicality, but then yeah, to the audience member, it looks like fighting with katakanas, with the katanas.
Right, like those finer details, the minutia of all that, the people that are going to notice that are the practitioners, the people that are studying, the people that are actually engaged in the fight. To the outside observer, if you're not already in that world, sword fighting is sword fighting. And God bless sword fighting. I love sword fighting, particularly of the Japanese variety. But it's sword fighting, you know what I'm saying? And so what translates in anime doesn't necessarily transfer over the same way in live action. And you can call that one of the negative points of the live action Rurouni Kenshin movies, which are among the best of anime adaptations, despite their drawbacks and their limitations and their shortcomings.
Yeah.
But anyway, like in this case, this is where the rotoscoping really helps out because those human motions that are just those little tiny ticks, again, I'm halfway on this because the uncanny valley is like undefeated. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm, mm,
like just normal motion in live action with a real person, it just plays differently on the eyes. The exact same motion on a 2D character. It's like your eye is almost like scanning for something that's not there.
mm,
Or me as a person, if you animate me, if you draw me, that same motion is not going to translate. That's why when you watch old school, like when you watch Disney animated features, they don't move totally realistically. They move at a certain rhythm and a certain fluidity because
mhm,
that's what works for 2D animation.
mhm,
And it's the same, like, I think the high watermark for Disney animation, in my personal opinion, is Encanto. I think that's the best of the movies. And if you look at the way the movement works, it man, they found this super fine line between like realistic human motion
mm,
and like rounding out the edges of human motion so that it doesn't become distracting when you're looking at a 3D animated character that's not a flesh and blood human being. What your mind accepts with flesh and blood human being doesn't necessarily work for 3D animated characters. It's not symmetrical. The uncanny valley is not symmetrical. It is asymmetrical.
yeah, yeah.
And it's just this weird thing that it does to your mind. Again, 2D animation, you have an X and a Y axis. Once you put in that Z axis, the 3D, things get weird. The physics gets weird, and like the way motion plays on the human eye, it just gets weird.
Mhm,
Um, and some movies like play that up, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit plays on that very thing. In the realm of 2D animation, they did this back in the 80s. Phenomenal movie, a masterpiece. Make no
so good,
mistake.
so
You will
good.
never get Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse in the same, like, only Steven Spielberg could have pulled that off in the 80s. It'll never happen again.
Mhm.
Forget it. Phenomenal movie. Please, if,
Incredible.
if you haven't
Yeah.
watched Who Framed Roger Rabbit, my goodness, what are you doing? But another example of that would be like The Mask. You know, Jim Carrey's The Mask, where he's doing all this super animated stuff and the 3D animation. This is back in like the nascent days of 3D animation. Like it was like Web 1.0 of computer animation. So if you look at it now, it looks very, very dated. It looks very like, oh wow, that's clearly computer animation. But man, to watch it back then, it was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. You know, my point in saying all of this is rotoscoping brings in the uncanny valley. And at that point, you just have to decide how to use that to your advantage. I think this film, at its best, during the running scenes, there's the one part where the older the Kaito, he's running
Yeah,
and he ends up
yeah,
winning the race. I thought that was fantastic. Yes.
that was cool.
Um,
Yeah, Kaido.
and
Mhm.
there's a scene where Komiya, we're calling him Mob. There's a point where he passes somebody and he does it at a certain angle and he does it in a certain way of running. It was very like, again, his gait and his posture was very much his own. And it just worked. And he's like in these short spurts. But over the draw over the length of a movie, I kind of stopped paying attention to it or noticing it. I was fine with it. Um, and then they really exaggerate it, and the exaggeration is like it's this double-edged sword, and so you just need to go in understanding that,
Yeah.
and that's because of the specific way that they chose to animate this movie. So like, I guess I'm agreeing with Josiah as much as like I liked it, but I struggled with it at the same time.
Yeah.
It kept me in the movie, but it kind of took me out of the movie. It's like it's kind of both and.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah,
mean, as far as like,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was just saying, as far as like how we normally do reviews is like, what do we like, what do we not like? This kind of falls into both categories.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did wonder, like, what could have been possible for them to have done this movie live action, but then had the races in 2D and rotoscoped it, and I'm sure that would have been too jarring a transition. So then you just wind up, rotoscoping the whole thing, so you're not, breaking the audience's experience and causing you potentially to bump out of the film. And if they try, but at the same time, if they try to do some of the techniques that they did in the 2D experimental racing moments, where they even like expanded on the rotoscoping, and were able to do something fun, whether it was like with the line weight changing, or you know background, and the way they like filled the characters and stuff like that. If they tried that stuff in live action, it probably would have looked terrible. Yeah. So for those reasons, that's why I was like, yeah, the racing scenes felt like it called for the rotoscoping, and really took advantage of using that and still experimenting to create something new. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, they
And in
wanted to
fair
keep the characters consistent. Yeah. In fairness, go
yeah,
ahead.
and in fairness, the rotoscoping does kind of ground the movie in a certain like it does ground the movie in a certain level of realness as far as the
Mhm.
movement is concerned.
Mhm.
And you feel like this is happening like in real life,
Yeah.
which can sometimes get blurred and obscured in anime movies, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so um the rotoscoping very much grounds the actual races in reality. There's a weight and a gravity to these races that really comes across.
Yeah.
And on that
Worst
note,
case scenario, I'll say, last thing I'll say with it, like I mentioned earlier,
yeah,
I don't know why it came across, but there were a few moments where I just like, I felt like I was looking at live action while they were just like wearing anime skins. Like they weren't the drawings; they were below the drawings, but they were wearing the drawings. I don't know. Anyways, we'll move on from here. What is
yeah.
up again, Merrick? Yeah,
Going back or just going into the story itself.
yeah,
Um, let's talk about some of the things that I liked, and then we can
yeah,
talk about
yeah,
some
yeah.
of the things like.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing I liked most was a few things. I thought Komiya's character was really interesting. He was
Mm-hmm.
driven to run, even though he wasn't particularly skilled, and then Togashi kind of
Mm-hmm.
takes him under his wing and shows him the basics of running. And they have that pivotal moment in the first act of the movie, where okay, when the train passes, boom, we go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they run,
He
and
beats Comey up but hurts himself.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then from that moment on, he basically says thank you, and then he disappears. He's gone, right?
Yep, he knew he was moving, but yeah, didn't want to make a
But
thing of it, I guess.
but but more specifically, what I liked about it, and this is a thing, I guess it's part of Japanese culture, or just um, the way that they make characters, or the way that they make rivals. It's a very idiosyncratic Japanese thing, but I kind of like it, and I like the way it plays out in this movie. At that point, Komio realizes that me and this guy cannot be friends. We can't be at the same school together. Like we are now rivals. And in one sense, it's not personal. At the same time, it is intimately, deeply, extremely personal, right? You've introduced me into this whole world, and now we are opponents in this world. I'm never going to not try to be faster than you, and you're never going to not try to be faster than me. And for that realization and the realization of what he was capable of, it cost him like that leg injury, right?
Mhm.
At the beginning of the movie,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
gets the leg injury.
Hmm.
At the end of the movie, or at the last part of the movie, Togashi, he pulls like a hip muscle or something like that. And part of one of the slow parts of the movie is like him like really having the existential dread of like never racing again. And he never gets that race. He never gets that race. And there's a part of the story that I like and don't like is Togashi's kind of his story arc, his character arc. For a long time, he's just kind of like dawdling, and he's just kind of like straggling along. He never really reaches the heights that he was, projected to meet in his youth. He never really capitalized on his potential. And for whatever reason, like it doesn't really get into that. Maybe it does in the manga, but in the anime, it just kind of jumps forward and like he's just barely making it on the team. He gets to a certain point where he's just barely. It feels like he's kind of aging out.
Yeah.
He's just barely like staying on the team, and he just doesn't seem to have that drive, that motivation. Something there is missing, and he has to figure that out. And it's almost like he's starting over. At the beginning of the movie, as a kid, he was like a prodigy essentially, and he had all the answers. And then as an adult, he has to like seek out the answers, reclaim that which he had lost or forgot about. Meanwhile, Komiya, you don't see too much of his character story.
You
And I
don't.
think the reason for that is because he probably didn't have too many friends. He was singularly focused on running, and there's not a whole lot of human relationships that are involved in that, save for whoever was coaching him on whatever team. And so he seemed like pretty much of a loner to begin with. The only person he really connected with, and you see this in the beginning of the movie, was Togashi. And so um, I kind of like how how the scales were kind of balanced in an interesting way. You know, Togashi started off with all the promise, all the potential, and then as time ebbs and flows, he finds himself kind of on the bottom rung. And the guy that he taught, mentored as a kid, his ascent just continues to steadily climb. And you know that gets epitomized in the injury. He said if you keep running on it, you if the muscle tears, you'll never run again, you'll be done. And then for the sake of the movie, he gets a second opinion from another doctor, one of his friends, and they do like, they do the EMS, the stimulation, and he essentially heals. And so he kind of avoids that dread. And um eventually he gets his race. Like he gets his race at the end of the movie. And uh it's great. Um this movie ends on a cliffhanger.
No, no, no. No, yes, technically, but it's not not in the like.
What do you think? Who do you think? Okay, so who do you
Yeah,
think
it
wins?
does. It does. It does. Yes, technically, I guess it does, but it's not. Well, I guess yeah. There's no a cliff. It could just it's just like you're just labeling it as cliffhanger. With and cliffhangers don't necessarily come with an automatic like promise of seeing what happens. Yeah, it is literally a cliffhanger. In yeah the strictest sense of the word. Yeah.
Who do you think wins the race at the end?
Uh, I think that um we're not supposed to have that answer.
I think yeah, I agree. Because basically it becomes
Uh-huh.
more philosophical. And
Yeah.
again, I keep saying the word existential, but it's kind of fitting for this movie. He regained his joy for running, Togashi's character. And at the end, he's like, depending on the camera angle, like, is he pulling ahead? Is he slightly behind? Like, but he's smiling, which tells you that like it kind of doesn't matter. Because if he's winning, he's happy. If he's losing, he's happy that he's just running, that he was able to reach his full potential. I think it was about his full potential more so than the actual first or second place finish, which is why
100%. 100%. Yeah.
they don't tell you if he won or lost, because that would almost like betray the larger point that they're trying to make with
Yeah.
his character and what his character arc
Yep.
was.
Yep. And this is
So
kind of yeah. That's why I said earlier on. This is not Rocky. Although Rocky's closer. They have some similarities. Rocky loses, and that's a positive within his storyline. That winds up being similar to some things that happen in here. But yeah, it's the movie is essentially using the framework of racing to just tell a human story, relational story. Uh,
Genobi
oh,
said,
nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Comia
Komiya.
wins.
Yeah, for her, Komiya wins. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. I do like both of the characters. Yeah, I'm glad that you like. Yeah, this is the funny thing. Like this used to be. I don't know if it should be labeled anymore, but like a very could have been like let's go back 20 years. This would be a very Japanese ending to a story, to a movie. And that essentially just means the thing that's on the surface. is not what's important to the filmmakers nearly at all. It's only a mechanism for the relationships and the exploration of the human experience. And so,
Yeah, the ending of this movie is essentially to win or to lose. The chrysanthemum blooms under the night sky. Fade to black. Like it's very,
mhm,
very
mhm,
Japanese in that
mhm.
respect.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's
So
like it's basically, yeah, it's that, and it's, through the sport, these two friends were essentially, well, it's not exactly through sports, through their parents, but they're like ripped away, and then they're able to come back together time and time again in life, and they're like out of sync when they meet back together, but now they're in sync, like at this moment here, potentially at the end of Togashi's career and the beginning of Komiya's, grand experience is one of the greatest.
well, I kind of feel like because they're the same age, so they're kind of both at the same stage. It's just Komiya, he started off way low, figured out he got past his mental block early and kind of was at the ascent and just kind of stayed up there, right? Togashi started up here and for whatever reason couldn't figure out something, and over time he got down, but then like towards the end, at the very end, he makes it back up and they're basically right here at the same race.
Mm-hmm.
Now Komiya has been overall way more successful. He's had more wins, he's won more track races, but it's not really about that, and the movie doesn't really give any real emphasis to that. They don't even you just by implication because you see him on the poster, so he's been doing really well in his track career,
Mm-hmm.
and he's right next to the guy that's never lost, he's undefeated, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the movie, and I don't know about the manga, but the movie is not particularly interested in like highlighting, giving you a demo reel or a montage of all of his victories. That's not the point. And so, yeah, so going back to my original point, what I liked about it was just how that rivalry was formed. And from Komiya's character perspective, um, yeah, he came to a realization after that one race. And yeah, he's like, we can't be friends. Um, it's not because I dislike you, but we are now rivals, and now my job is to be the best, so that you never beat me again. And I like that. I just something about that is very. It's not Naruto Sasuke. It's not Goku Vegeta. It's not Urameshi Kuwabara. Just go down the shonen pipeline. You get
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
it's there every time.
It's
Yeah, mm-hmm.
it's not
Just
that.
about every time.
It's not that, but it's kind of that, but it's not that. It's its own thing, and I like that. I liked what that thing was.
Yeah, it is actually kind of fascinating that that's the way you interpreted it, which may be exactly the way it's supposed to be interpreted. I interpreted it as um, like that final that race on the like beach or by the river or whatever. Um, Komiya, he already knew he was moving away. He couldn't tell his friend in that regard. Like he didn't. He wanted to have just like a pure race with him, with no and nothing kind of swaying Togashi in one way or another. And it was in that moment where he was able to beat him that he was like thankful that Togashi had given him something, so that when he leaves,
Okay,
he has something.
fantastic point. Okay,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, so in Japanese culture, you have what's called tatemai and honne. Tatemai is like your customer service face, your forward facing face. Your boss is chewing you out, and you're like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. And then there's honne, your true inner self, right? The true inner self is like, hey, buddy, go fly a kite. I'm saying that super nice per YouTube guidelines, standards, and whatever, right? Your true internal self versus your external shell. Honne is your true self. Tatemai is what you project to the world for the purpose of cohesion, survival, making your way through the world, right? Now, in the case of Komiya, he clearly is not one who is gifted with words, right?
Mhm.
He shows his true intent through action, right? Um, what's what's the anime? I know it's like a dozen of them. Like my truest self is when I'm fighting. That
Mm.
is it. Vegeta, whatever. Pick one. Pick one
Yeah,
anime
yeah,
where the
yeah,
whole
yeah.
thing is like, no, like my truest expression of my truest expression of who I am is birthed through the internal struggle and the fight and the battle, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you
Yeah,
see
yeah.
this in that, like, he couldn't be honest about like you said, he's about to move. He couldn't just have a regular conversation with them. Hey, this is what's going on. I really appreciate everything you've done for me. La 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 la. From a very Western way of looking at things, right? You might say. Um, Instead, no, let's race. And my way of honoring and respecting the sweat equity that you put into training me and teaching me is to give you the best race that I can possibly can. And if I can beat you, then that's my way of showing you respect because you trained me and you helped me get to a point where I could actually beat you. It's not a, it oddly it's not like an ego thing, at
Mhm,
least not at first.
mhm,
This is like the only language I speak is on the track. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
You know, well, I live my life a quarter mile at a time. Like Fast and the
Mhm, mhm,
you
mhm.
know,
This
you
yeah.
know. Oh gosh, it's like Point
I
Break,
live my life a quarter track at a
quarter
time,
quarter
100
mile at a
meters.
time. Or
Yep.
Triple X. I live for this stuff, and he gets shot out of an airplane. You know, Um, so it's Point Break. He's at the beach. He's looking at all the waves. I'm just waiting for my set, man. I'm just waiting for my set. That kind of thing.
Mhm,
The
mhm.
expression is not in the verbal articulation of the thing, but it's in the doing of that thing. In this case, language that Komiya speaks is the 100-meter dash. Cool.
Mhm,
Awesome. Um, Togashi essentially taught him a new language or taught him to become greatly more fluent in that language because he was running, but he just wasn't figuring out the mechanics. He had a
yeah.
great start, but then he just petered out, right? And Togashi, in the beginning, when they were young, really kind of like mentored him and gamed him up on how to do it, how to pace yourself, all the mechanics of
Mhm, mhm.
racing. And it's almost like at the very end of the movie, um, Komiya gave that back to Togashi, and you see it because like he finally catches up. They're like neck and neck, neck and neck, neck and neck. And again, depending on the camera angle and was one pulling ahead of the other, it's debatable. But at the end, you just see him and he's just smiling. He's finally like, "Oh, I'm free. Finally, I'm finally free. This is where I always wanted to be. Whatever happens after this, it is prologue. You know what I mean? But right now, there's no place I'd rather be. What's the song? There's no place I'd rather be. Whatever. You get it. And he smiles. He's like almost manically, but like just like extreme relief. Like this is where he wanted to be. He found his stride. He found his reason. He found his internal compass, his internal calculus, and was running the best race of his life. And he was at peace. He was happy. It's we reviewed the film F1,
Mhm.
and there's a point where Brad Pitt's
Brad Pitt's
character
character,
describes
yeah.
he describes, uh, just being in the zone and, like,
Mhm,
everything else kinda fading away and
mhm,
disappearing,
mhm,
and then, of course, you see that at the end of that movie, the final race, final lap,
mhm.
he gets a quick dash out in
Yeah,
front.
where it
There's some
feels like
weird
he's
crashing
flying.
goes on,
Mhm.
and he's just
Yeah, the sound,
if
like,
you if
drops out. Mhm.
yeah. The best example of this, which is apropos to 100 meters, would be Chariots of Fire. Um, won the Academy Award for Best Picture back in the 70s or whatever. Dun 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 dun. That movie.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
when the Scottish, Irish, whatever he's raised, he's like, when I run, he was a Christian missionary. He was a real life character, actually a missionary to China after the
Mhm.
Olympics and everything.
Amazing.
Go see that movie. Chariots of Fire is a classic. It is a standard. Go see
Mm.
it.
Mhm.
He's like, but when I run, I feel this pleasure. He's talking about like I feel the pleasure of God when I run because I feel like I'm
Mhm.
doing what God has called me to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
The final race, because like again, the final race does rehashes what's in the trailer. Everything will be decided in 10 seconds. And then eh, and then they all take off, right? Now the actual scene is longer than 10 seconds,
I
but
was
like,
actually kind of hoping it was going to be a little 10 seconds, but it's fine that it wasn't.
yeah, because it was the end of the movie, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of like the end of Speed Racer, the Wachowski brothers Speed Racer, where he's
Mhm.
just like such an unsung, like the movie is amazing in its own way if you just accept it for what it is. We're not going to talk about
Yeah.
that today.
Yes. No,
But
we won't
yeah,
not. Yeah.
you get like all of that kind of thing that you've seen in other movies. This is what you're seeing in this final scene. And it's in its own kind of understated Japanese way. I mean, the most expressive part about it is just the part where he smiles at the end, right? Um, and then that tells you everything you need to know. Um, it's the subtext of it all.
Mhm.
Very, very, very Japanese. Very
Definitely.
Japanese.
It is.
So yeah,
Within
I
the
kind of like.
story, a couple things I want to like, maybe have minor critique or just thought exploration for. One, I so being accustomed with anime, manga, I accepted the the initial starting age of the kids and their mentalities. But a part of me for a half second did feel like the things that they were talking about and the way that they were speaking sounded like a slightly older demographic. Like, what if this movie didn't start with them like in elementary school, but as like middle schoolers? The way that they talk and discuss sound like life and some of the like you're mentioning existential or melancholic things could have worked I think a lot better in a more natural way for me if they were middle schoolers. But that said, like this is kind of what happens in manga and anime.
Why do adults always lie? No, uh, uh,
Oh man.
kids don't kids don't ask stupid questions like that.
I know, right? Which
They're- they're-
reminds me,
they're-
I got a letter from Silent Hill this week, and yeah, I'm not gonna go
oh
to
my
Silent Hill.
gosh.
They're not pulling me over. They're not gonna get me. I know, but yes, they just said I hate it here. But anyways,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's kind of an inside joke. No, we don't need to explain it. It's fine. What's
yeah,
what's
yeah. It's
understood doesn't need
okay.
to be explained. That's
Totally,
fine.
totally.
Um,
All right. So I'm like, at the beginning of the movie, I'm like, these are definitely adults writing kids characters, and sometimes it's like, no, kids don't have discussions like this in third grade, but that's okay. Like it.
right. The irony of it is like kids aren't smart enough to have conversations that dumb. Right? Like it's
uh,
weird, right?
yeah,
Kids just
yeah,
have like kid conversations. I wouldn't even call them smart or dumb. They're just kid conversations. And
yeah.
when I say like kids aren't that smart, like, well, I mean, they're not. They haven't been around that long. It's not
Mhm.
even their fault, like
Hey, yeah,
kids are just kids, right?
it's totally
And then
fine. Yeah.
what happens is adults write kids as plot devices as a means to an end. So they make them like way more insightful or way smarter than any kid that's not on the furthest fringes of the autism spectrum would ever
Hmm.
be, right?
Yeah.
Or on the
Yes.
furthest fringes of like gifted child, super genius. You're being monitored by the CIA
Yeah.
for future reference kind of thing.
Yeah. Hmm.
But kids are just kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, listen, I lived in Japan and I taught Japanese kids. None of them talk like this,
Hmm.
but whatever,
Yeah,
like
I know. You just let it be.
maybe
Yeah.
they're just extra mature, well-adjusted 12-year-olds, you know? You won't find them out in the wild, but, you know, for the purposes of this movie, eh, you know what I mean?
Can you imagine having lived and be sitting on the side of that riverbank while those two boys raced each other, and then proceeded to have a dramatic parting from each other with one of the kids limping away?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Like, just
That'd be a
I mean
crazy sight to witness.
yeah, 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 yeah.
You're like, dang, that kid's really gonna let the other kid limp like a mile home. Okay.
You know, actually, there's a video that went viral on, like, you know, social media, YouTube or whatever, and it was in China, and these 2 kids that were, like, B-boy breakdancing on the street. They were
Yeah.
really young, they still had their backpacks on, they're doing all these spins and stuff like that,
Hmm.
and they're just like, you know, one kid was a little bit younger, one kid was a little bit older, a little bit taller, and they were just straight up B-boy battle, breakdance fighting with each other.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
very it's very whole, you know, it's like they're like out in the street though, just like boom, 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 like waiting for their bus or whatever,
That's
or they just
awesome.
knew each other. Yeah, and they're just I'll have to go see if I can find that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. If you find it, yeah, send that to me.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
it's
So
amazing. So
um
yeah, that was one thing. The other thing I'll bring
that's the
up is
closest thing I could think of that would be equivalent to this kind of thing, you know.
yeah,
Um
yeah. Hmm.
I definitely see kids on a regular basis chasing each other and running. Um yeah, I mean, so like they were in elementary school, is that what it was? Like the tail end of their elementary
I
school?
imagine. I don't remember what their age was if they ever mentioned it, but
And
they
then they
look
skipped to high
like
school?
I'm pretty sure it goes to middle school because when Togashi is interviewed by the older student, I think he's either like just into high school, but he looks like an adult compared to
Yeah.
him, or yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it
Oh,
does.
ano
Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead. What was that?
Another thing that I really like about this that I can relate to just as
Mm,
somebody who was a track and field athlete, um, this movie is makes it very clear that, like, being an athlete takes a definite toll on your body.
mhm.
You could be doing everything right, but, like, you got one body, and if you use it to its fullest if you open up all the 7 gates, right, of the taijutsu
Bro.
because you were a student of Guy, you
Mm-hmm.
know, Guy
Mm-hmm.
Might, if you're Rock
Mm-hmm.
Lee, bro, you're gonna fry your adrenal glands.
Or
You're
you'll
gonna
be
burn
out
through
for
all your
just a filler
muscles.
arc or something, you know, at least one of them.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, you hear that music, oh, bro, I'm an MTC. You know? Um, I'm a side character, you know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like, yeah, it's like the guy when he chase when he's like does that little press junket run with the older guy. He's like, oh, like his lower back is killing him.
Ooh,
Bro, I know
that
that.
was bad. Yeah.
I know all about that. I can talk about lower back pain. We can go there. Um, Komiya, he had like he had a phantom injury. Like he injured his his leg, pulled a hamstring or whatever, injured his leg racing Togashi the first time, and then he goes away and he's like, okay, well, it's healed, but like mentally it's still hurting, it's still broken, it's still messed up, it's still injured. And that's a real thing. He had to overcome that mental block.
Mhm, mhm,
Um,
mhm,
because man, like you will defeat you before anybody else defeats you. Um,
mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
a life lesson, children. You will stop yourself before anybody else externally stops you. Um,
I
in
can
our
see
next
that.
review,
Mhm.
we're going to explore how the opposite side of that. We'll get
Yeah.
into that,
Oh
but
yeah. Oh yeah. We'll get into that. All right. Which reminds me. Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to wrap this up in a second.
yeah, let's wrap this
I
up.
yeah.
Yeah,
The last thing. So connected to what you're saying, I am thankful that Komiya does physically heal and then has his moment of his arc of needing to mentally overcome. That said, I was surprised that we didn't see another like an injury happen when we were older, and in particular, I was kind of expecting it to happen to happen to
Komiya.
Togashi. No, Togashi when he injures his leg and he goes to the doctor and the doctor's like, you can't compete, you can't run on this, you're going to tear your muscles apart. And I think it's like a bit of a critique, bit of a negative for me that nothing negative happened to him in that regard, and it doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, so he got a second opinion from another doctor, and they put the nodes on him. They did EMS, electromagnetic stimulation, which is a real thing, and that's a real recovery modality. So, I mean, it's plot armor and it's convenience in so much as like, there had to be like a dark night of the soul, and then something that gets him out of it, something of a MacGuffin, sure. But I mean, it is a very real thing that is how people recover. And so I was kind of geeking on that, just from the tech, from the sports medicine tech side of it. I was like, okay, that's cool. Oh, he did that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Because I actually did that myself when I was in Japan. I went to one of these like physical rehab places, and they'll just like they'll put a bunch of nodes on you, and they'll zap you like they'll turn it until you say stop. It's like, "Yeah, okay, this is good. And so like that's a
Yeah,
real like that's a real thing,
yeah.
and
That
you can
that's
really.
fine, but for me personally, from like a writing and a character development standpoint, one, Komiya technically, from what we understood, didn't change anything about the way he ran. Like his captain, who one maybe can let go that the captain is a kid, giving a perspective that the way he runs is not sustainable. Maybe he's a flawed character. He's not really able to analyze that kind of a thing. But I'm a little disappointed that they didn't cover it really in any way, shape, or form. Like either verify or that was true, that wasn't true. Because I mean, that's a real thing. Like if he's running in a way that's unsustainable for his career, like the fact that he goes on to do better than anybody else virtually in the world, like doesn't fully add up for me. And then on the other side for Togashi, the fact that he has a real injury that at least one medical professional feels like could lead to irreparable damage and the ending of his career, and then like nothing goes wrong. There's not even this like hint at things going wrong. It's yeah, it's just a little not unsatisfying for me that like the reality of the human body and its limitations are like touched upon and hinted at, but then ultimately like thrown away by the end of the story.
Bro, I got two words for you, bro. And you'll like these two words. Those two words are Shohei Otani. This man has had multiple surgeries, multiple on his pitching arm. I think one on his like he pulled a hamstring or something. This man has had multiple surgeries, and you know hasn't stopped him. You know what I mean?
Well, that's important though.
No,
He's had surgeries. Like this guy didn't seemingly have any like actual surgery. I know there's the EMS that you're talking about, but
fair enough. But like he
yeah,
had what I'm saying is he had injuries.
yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
repetition injuries. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Nolan Ryan had a repetition injury on his right arm, came back and was pitching faster on the second half of his career. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. The human body is crazy. And so,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, maybe they just decided to pull a Shohei Otani with him. I don't know. There is.
Oh, sorry, your audio's not
No, no,
coming
no.
through. Okay,
Oh,
now
I
it's
was just
back.
saying
Now it's
there's,
back.
there's case law for this, you know what I mean? In
Mm-hmm.
real life. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
who knows?
Hey, yeah, the movie's like, look, you
The
know,
timeline is a little kind of
if
like
you're
that's kind of
passionate
quick,
about
but
it, gamble on it. Bet on yourself. Just be prepared for it to not work out
listen,
sometimes.
listen, the Japanese pharmaceutical industrial complex isn't just going to come out and say that sensu beans are a real thing,
Oh
you
man,
know?
yeah,
Like they're
yeah.
not- you know, they're not going to say that like we have rejuvenation chambers such
Mm-mm.
as with Planet Namek. But like, but Togashi will be able to race in the final 100 meters. That's all
Mhm.
I'm saying, folks. Like
Yeah, yeah.
um That
Who
that
knows? Maybe that was the cut to black. Maybe the cut to black was they were both about to have their legs blown out, and we could have had a version of this movie where they're lying on the ground before the finish line, and they're laughing about it or something.
yeah, like both their arms chopped off.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah.
next to a waterfall coming down.
Yeah, yeah,
Kakashi and Sakura
exactly.
have to find them and perform emergency surgery with
Hmm.
Hashirama's, wood chakra cell. Like, listen, it's a crazy world out here. That's all I'm saying. Things happen
Crazy,
for a
crazy
reason.
world, crazy world.
You know.
Yep.
All
Look,
right. Is there
we
anything
could have
else you
had.
want to?
Look, I'm just gonna say we could have had a version of this movie where they both blow out their legs halfway through the race, but then they hold each other up and they finish first. Still, I'm just saying we could we could have had that movie.
One hurls the other one to the finish line. Race and wins.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Any closing thoughts? Anything else you want to say about 100 meters?
No, no. I think I'm good. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is the conclusion of part one of our double feature. This has been our review of 100 meters. Thank you for joining us. We're about to end this stream and then jump on with the live stream movie review for Marty Supreme. So please come back and
Excellent.
join us again. It'll be just a few minutes.
Just
But
a few
until then,
minutes.
my name has been Austin,
My name is Josiah.
and we are the Super
Super
Cinema
Cinna
Bros.
Brothers.
Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you can be notified for all of our latest live stream movie reviews. It has been a pleasure. We will catch you in the next one, in this case, very, very shortly. Until then, God bless you. May the Lord bless and keep you. May his light shine upon you. Have a wonderful, wonderful Monday evening, and we will be back in just the click of a mouse or the tap of smart screen. We will see you so soon. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. With that, I'm signing off. Peace.
Peace. See y'all in just a few couple minutes.